Hi, my name is Deb Bowen. In 2003, I created a book project called A Book by Me, where students meet someone from the World War II generation. They take what they learned and write and illustrate a children's book about their life. I started with stories from Jewish Holocaust survivors and our great World War II veterans. Today, there are over 90 books in 3 series, Holocaust Heroes and Human Rights. During this 75th anniversary of the end of World War II, I've created a logo with a tagline, "If I told you my story, you would be amazed." It's true. I've sat with students completely amazed, like hearing from Henry, who parachuted into France. He crashed through the roof of a greenhouse, as shown in a John Wayne movie called The Longest Day. We met a 103-year-old Marine who was at Iwo Jima. The young author and I sat spellbound when John talked about the hope that arose in his heart the day the flag was raised. He knew the men in the iconic picture we all know and love. We heard a first-hand account from a woman who took dictation from General Eisenhower and ate Thanksgiving dinner with Eleanor Roosevelt in Berlin. I could go on because you never know what you're going to hear. There are still men and women alive who served in World War II, and many are able to tell their story for this project. I'm calling students from all 50 states and all around the world to interview them with social distancing or a virtual interview, then preserve these stories for the next generation. Visit my website and click on A Book by Me to find the writer's guidelines, writing coach instructions, and matching curriculum samples. Find a printable Operation Right Now flyer to show your subject so they understand the process. Get contact information of a family member or caregiver to help with questions or photographs needed. These books encompass many cross-curricular standards. The greatest generation lived through the Great Depression, but with the pandemic, we have our own Great Depression happening right now. Some of it's financial, but most of it's emotional. No one is immune. It's happening to the very young and the very old. Students can help by showing the World War II generation that their stories are important. The time to do this is right now. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marion Blumenthal, Lazan. With so very many millennials and younger people knowing so little or nothing about the Holocaust, when it took place, where it took place, and the number of Jewish lives snuffed out by the Nazis, it is important that some way be found to educate our younger generations to the fact. Deb Bowen found one way with her Book by Me series. Deb Bowen of Aledo, Illinois, created a series of books written and illustrated for elementary school children by children. She was focusing children on stories that would have been lost once their Holocaust survivors have passed away. She started preserving these stories with the help of young writers and artists in 2003. Then, one day in 2011, she spoke in a small town outside of Peoria, Illinois, and young Jon Mattern was in the audience. He was captivated with the project and wanted to write about a survivor who immigrated near his area. The only one Deb had heard of was me. Jon's mom bought my memoir, Four Perfect Pebbles, and he read it cover to cover. Then he turned around and wrote a short version of my story called Never Lose Hope. I was certainly impressed that a young teenager was so interested and involved in the subject of the Holocaust that took place so many years ago. Many students have told Deb over the years that these small, easy-to-read storybooks led them to read chapter books on the topic. And some say that the small books got them hooked onto the subject of the Holocaust. Soon, very soon, the door will be closed to interview someone from the World War II generation. So, action must be taken now. If you know a story that needs to be written, please find a student who would be willing to interview, write, and illustrate a book by me. Perhaps even one of your own children or grandchildren would like to get involved in this very important project. Kudos and my sincere thanks to Deb Bowen for helping pass the legacy of the Holocaust on to future generations.